Like, he did some demon shit, dude. He really did. He really did do some demon shit. It is kind of wild. It's not just like gross, ew, icky, oh, gay, whatever the people think. Breaking, mixed reaction, mixed verdict reached in Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. The feds took a big L on the RICO stuff. Let's take a look.
Are getting the verdict coming in right now. This is coming in real time, and we have count 1 here. This is the racketeering charge. We have the count here of not guilty on racketeering. This is coming in real time. We have count 2 also coming in here, not guilty. That is the sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. Count 3, we have guilty. Count 3 is guilty for the transportation of Cassie Ventura. That is guilty. Count 4, this is the sex trafficking of Jane. That's a pseudonym. Not guilty. Count 5, we have guilty. That is 5 counts. We have a mixed verdict here. Again, count 1 as it relates to racketeering, not guilty. Count 2 as it relates to sex trafficking, not guilty. Count 3.
Is this the OJ situation again? No, dude. No, this is not the OJ situation. This is a dramatically different situation than the OJ one. First of all, there is no like prevailing narrative in the environment. No, this is not. What the fuck? No.
Guilty. Count 4, not guilty. Count 5, guilty. Now, we should bring up here, Misty, all of these counts have a range of different sentences, a range of different evidentiary burdens, a range of different outcomes we could have had here. But it is a mixed verdict, if you will.
Is this Hun pro Diddy? No. Why the fuck would I be pro Diddy, dude? What the hell? Who the fuck even is pro Diddy? Like, I guess maybe the misogyny tourists, they'll probably reach out and be like, oh yeah. But even then, the fact that he's like bisexual kind of cuts off a big chunk of the people that would be like pro Diddy in general. The only person I know who's pro Diddy is the motherfucking president, you know? Like, the Manosphere guys, even before we all found out like the extent of the cruelty, the extent of like the insanity, a lot of people immediately were like launching. A lot of people were immediately attacking Diddy because like before we found out more of the very clear disregard for human safety, they were already like, oh, he's gay. Like that was, it felt like that was almost seen as like a bigger crime than the actual fucking harm that he was doing to like women and men. How do you explain he got almost scot-free? I think the prosecutors fucked up, I guess. I don't know. Maybe they overextended with the RICO stuff. I mean, he clearly has a lot of money and had a fantastic defense team. I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as you are. He's on video dragging a woman back to the hotel room. Yeah, except the problem with stuff like that is, number one, the criminal justice system very clearly doesn't successfully prosecute people often, people that harm women often, even if it's on camera. Number two, I think that there is a difference in the charges potentially, as opposed to like simple domestic abuse or domestic violence. Like that's a much easier thing. That's a much easier thing to get across, especially because it happened on camera. But this is not about that. This is a case that is much, much broader than simply what he was caught doing on camera. Yeah, they couldn't prove a connection between the on-tape violence and the sex trafficking. The prosecution was not, I guess, able to convincingly explain that the extortion and the violence played a formative role. And they literally hit the, again, this is why I said misogyny plays a role in this. They hit the no, she was actually enjoying it and she was actually asking for it defense. It's, I guess, a very hard argument to make to begin with. In the simplest terms, that's what it is. They were able to at least convince enough members of the jury that there was reasonable doubt that the victims were involved in this in a way that they were in a way where they were consenting to it rather than being extorted. Are we gonna see Tory Lanez as defenders? Yes, but the Manosphere, I think, is like of two different minds here, because on the one hand, the Manosphere loves when like men who get accused of sexual deviancy, sexual assault, sexual harassment get off. They love that shit, and they will join in on the pylon regardless. But also, a lot of those dudes are homophobic. So Diddy being bisexual puts a little bit of a fucking stopgap on it. Like because they've been using, that's the reason why people have been using like, oh, no Diddy, or Diddy freak offs as like as a way to say like no homo, as a way to point to like queer behavior in general. So while they hate women enough to like kind of use this as a celebration, I think it would give a lot of people pause to fully come on board, especially because like Diddy's reputation has been permanently tarnished as a direct consequence of, you know, being out and about openly bisexual. If he was just straight and also a you know, mass rapist or whatever, they would totally fucking defend him, I think. Tex did a lot of heavy lifting. The defense used them to make it seem like she was into it, because you can't necessarily read emotions through text. New York Times did an article on them and shows the text here. A jury began deliberation on Monday over the fate of Sean Diddy Combs, who was facing charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. The jury will have access to hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of evidence presented during the trial, including a year's worth of text messages that chronicle Combs' relationship with the two women at the center of the case. The trove of texts the jurors have seen provided intimate glimpses into the dynamics of the two tumultuous relationships. The first with Cassandra Ventura, the singer known as Cassie. The second with a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane. Swipe to read the selection of messages the prosecution and defense have used in court to make their case. The words sent between Sean Diddy Combs and his girlfriends have been cited as crucial evidence by both sides of the case that hinges on whether sex marathons he directed were coercive. When do you want to freak off? Lol. Lol, I'm just going up to change and put my ring in. I just picked it up. I'm always ready to freak off. Lol, lol. You tell me the day you choose. It can be whenever, ? Says Cassie. Diddy says, name the night. The defense referred to this August 5th, 2009 exchange to try and convince jurors that Cassandra Ventura, the singer known as Cassie, was a willing participant in the freak-offs. In 2016, Sean Combs says, call me, the cops are here. You gonna abandon me all alone? Call me, please. Cassie says, I have a premiere Monday for the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. I have a black eye and a fat lip. It was time for me to go. You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done. Please stay far away from me. 2016. Call me. Help. I'm about to be arrested, says Diddy. The prosecution pointed to this March 5th, 2016 exchange, which occurred after Ventura was assaulted by Combs in the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel after a freak-off as a part of his effort to manipulate her. The police never arrived at the hotel. Like, he did some demon shit, dude. He really did. He really did do some demon shit. It is kind of wild. It's not just like gross, ew, icky, oh, gay, whatever the people think. Like, he was straightforwardly beating women and making them participate in these like sex parties. Like, at some point, they might have actually enjoyed the sex party initially. That doesn't, you know, that doesn't change the fucking dynamic, you know? There's no like, oh, you consented once, so it's over. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work that way. You don't get forever consent, which, you know, good luck explaining that to a jury that is, of course, majority men. I wish we could jog this back to when we first started dating and just getting to know each other. Ever since I opened Pandora's box, I've never been able to close it. One night of fun turned into the entirety of our relationship. And now it's all I'm expected to do and get called for. It's hurting me because I'm so much more than being loved in the dark in hotel rooms, doing things that make me feel disgusted with myself. I'm confusing your lust for me as real love. My heart is really in this and it's breaking. I don't want to play this role in your life anymore. It's dark, sleazy, and makes me feel disgusted with myself. This is September 17th from Jane, the other person that came out. My heart is really in this and it's breaking. I don't want to play this role in your life anymore. It's dark, sleazy. It makes me feel disgusted with myself. I feel it's the only reason you have me around and why you pay me for the house. I don't want to feel obligated to perform these nights with you in fear of losing the roof over my head. I mean, this is literally coercion, right? I don't want to keep feeling like that anymore. I'm crying as I type this. We just need to talk like adults and figure out where we'll go from here. He says, girl, stop. Prosecutors used this September 17, 2023 exchange with a second woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane to show her increasing disinterest in hotel nights. September 24, 2023. I can't even look. It will drive me crazy. Laughed at above message, Jane laughs at. You might blow up, daddy, like a locomotive muy caliente. In its closing argument, the defense pointed to this exchange as evidence that even shortly after an episode the government identified as a time when Jane was sex trafficked, she appeared to describe video footage of a hotel night as exciting. So they made short work. They made light work of the evidence that the prosecutors had laid out by basically hitting the classic, oh no, you don't understand, she was asking for it defense. She was the third and was subpoenaed, not voluntary as far as I know. What the defense used to discredit her is that Diddy still pays her rent and paid for her attorneys. Law tip, it's a complicated case to prove from just a logistical perspective. You need really skilled prosecutors who know what they're doing. Tons of evidence means a jury could get bored or confused easily. Typically, federal prosecutors are on top of it. Looks like they dropped the ball here and the defense capitalized. It is a shocking display, especially considering that federal cases like this are they have a 98% success rating or something. Like federal prosecution's pretty fucking on it. Like it is the one group that is incredibly successful in terms of identifying exactly what they can get out of people, exactly what kind of charges they can bring up so they don't over prosecute and then end up losing. They also are pretty good. Usually they're notoriously very good. I'm about to be a criminal defense attorney, and the common notion throughout the criminal defense community is when the feds got you, they really got you. Exactly. Which is why it's like a little surprising, maybe in shitification, who knows? But even the dynamic of like misogyny being weaponized for the client here by the defense is supposed to be inconsequential considering how much evidence the prosecutors are supposed to present. But yeah, Diddy's defense team was pretty goated from what I understand. And I think it was I think it's also Luigi Mangioni's defense team too. Now, there is no underlying overarching societal expectation between men and women in the Luigi Mangione one, so that's not going to work in his favor. Yeah, he was Young Thug's lawyer. The Young Thug case is even harder, in my opinion, to beat than this one. Like, given the evidence that we looked at with the Young Thug one, and also on top of that, the dynamic of a black person engaging in a criminal enterprise as a rapper, that is one where the societal attitude does not favor Young Thug. It actually works against him, as opposed to Diddy, the dynamic between female victims of sexual coercion and sexual assault. That dynamic does work in favor of Diddy, as we saw. But who knows what happens to the Lil Durk too in the future. I mean, the feds clearly are no longer as the feds clearly don't have the same motion that they once did. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, I saw CNN reporting people outside the courthouse pouring baby oil on each other. We are a deeply unserious society, man. It's like, brother, even if like there wasn't enough evidence, let's say, to convict someone beyond reasonable doubt that like they did racketeering or they were basically the head honcho of a criminal enterprise that was like sex trafficking women and setting up these like sex parties and extorting women to participate in them. Okay, he's still on video like beating the shit out of his girlfriend. Like, he's still like a sex predator. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh, baby oil. Like, oh, sick. I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand. Like, even in the lightest version of events, like, there's still a tremendous amount of awfulness. I think people just have a fundamentally poor understanding of consent. Once the jurors saw the text of the women agreeing it's over, they don't understand coercion and manipulation. The victims are predominantly black women. This is a major factor. I think that definitely also plays a role in it as well. You got 8 men involved in it. But yeah, I've talked about this since the Me Too era, that like we don't have well-defined boundaries in terms of like interpersonal relationships between men and women. And as a consequence of that, and as also a direct consequence of like really bad education surrounding consent and surrounding how to deal, how men should treat women in general, because of patriarchal constructs, there is still a shit ton of dudes that don't maybe even look back at their previous interactions and look at this kind of backlash that has taken place, and instead of recognizing that like they should change the way they carry themselves. They have basically created a backlash against this wave of women demanding justice. So that's why you see so much like celebration of this kind of thing. That's why you see all the misogyny tourists as well, where people are just like, well, I could be in that situation. I have been in a situation similar, maybe not like directly similar to Diddy, right? Obviously not. That's a unique case. But I think a lot of dudes just basically see this situation and go like, well, they're going to come after me too. They're going to come after me as well. What the I don't know. That's what it feels like.